old red barn, testament to ingenuity, the rust in your coat counterintuitively preserving against decay. Still standing today on your windswept plain amid long amber grasses continually bowing their homage. Like sun-cast gold at your feet, despite encroaching shadows ever shifting with clouds under the benevolent blue striated sky. A skeleton tree veils your face, attempting to conceal the emptiness behind your window eyes. You've no weather vane pointing heavenward with its rooster of betrayal. Can you hear geese calling, fly on, fly on, fly on? Old red barn, vignette of yesterday, rustic testimony never reduced, I will not think of you as desolate. While I was driving home from a trip recently, I found myself watching one red barn after another pass by, and as the farm miles disappeared in the mirror, I realized I didn't know why barns were red. I mean, it's so ingrained in American life that if you ask a child to color a barn, they're going to color it red. Red barns are in literature, paintings, tourist attractions, TV, and movies. I'd even say that they are so closely related that the words red and barn are synonymous. But why? The question nagged me for hours as I drove by myself through one farm after another. I realized that I had to figure it out, which of course meant that I also needed to record the answer. Old-time farmers had few choices for colors and fewer that were cheap, not to mention choices for paints, sealers, and other building materials were slim. They needed paint that would protect and seal the wood on their barns, and the European farmers who came to the U.S. brought with them the tradition of using linseed oil from flax plants, which would be mixed with things like milk, lime, or ferrous oxide, also known as rust, which, as you might imagine, was plentiful on farms. This tradition was brought over because rust could easily be found on farms and because it killed fungi and mosses. It was an effective sealant, and the rust additive also turned the mixture red. So in the late 1800s, red pigment was also the cheapest to buy until whitewash eventually took over later on. Now, I at first thought whitewash was some kind of just white coloring, and it was like they called it whitewash because that was maybe the process. But if you thought that, then you were like me, wrong. Whitewash is it's a mixture of lime, water, and salt, a combo that could be made at home, and therefore it could be cheaper than red paint. This stuff also did the job that rust did, but it didn't contain lead, so it was safer for animals. So it seems like it all just came down to cost and convenience. While researching this, I also came across a couple of myths about red barns that I found interesting. The two main ones that I found were that apparently some believed, or at least said, that red barns helped cows find their way home easier. This is, of course, false, as cows are colorblind, which also dismissed the myth that bulls prefer to chase the color red. I think anyone that's seen American television has seen this myth perpetrated by countless shows and movies, especially cartoons. How often have we seen a cartoon show use a bull chasing after the color red? I'm sure there are several Bugs Bunny episodes where we've seen this laid bare. And of course, another popular myth is that barns were painted red because it was a style copied by Scandinavian farms who did it to make their own buildings look like they were made of brick. Buildings made of brick were obviously expensive, and so this idea was that it helped them look more wealthy. So now you know why barns are red. Of course, this is centric to the U.S., so other countries may have different history with their barn colors, such as, most older countries are going to have their barns made of like stone or maybe foliage slapped together with bamboo and whatnot. So obviously, like I said, this is very U.S. centric, but here that synonym of red and barn are so tightly married that it's hard to imagine a world where a barn is not going to be red in a movie or a TV show or described that way in some poem or book and its long excerpts on the environment around its characters. This has been Alcove, and the poem read at the top of the episode was Old Red Barn, written by Fran Haley.